It was the last day of May, and the sun was setting on the coronavirus resort. And it was a pretty sunset. It was also setting on the lockdown over the COVID-19 panic that had crippled the country for the entire springtime. The country was supposed to open again tomorrow, so at least part of it would return to normal, or so we were told. With the setting sun came the bats that always come out just before dark. I was, of course, watching them flit around in the sky from the pool in the resort. The resort is the name I'd given to my patio, which was complete with a tiny pool, patio furniture, barbecue, and festive lighting. Alright, one last swim in the pool late at night, before it gets all dark. Trailing the bats. The coronavirus resort, yeah. Well, it's nothing like a little swim fairly late at night, watching the bats fly up in the sky. You know, take a little dip in the coronavirus resort. It's awesome, just awesome. Just the fantasy of what it was supposed to represent kept me sane during the long, long days of lockdown. But all that was about to change. Well, okay. Going out in the yard now. And here's where the pool is now. This is not just one more case where it had to be fixed and repaired. Nope. This time the good times are over. Because our Nazi-like management told me that we can't have it out here because it wastes the community's money for water. Even though I paid for the water myself out of my tap. I knew this was an argument that I wasn't going to win with those brown shirt snakes. So, there was nothing to do but drain the water and figure out what to do next. So, then we got to figure out what to do with this, whether to just put it away or throw it away. And then, of course, the whole resort has to be changed. Well, okay then. I guess it's time to down to the trash compactor and dispose of the coronavirus resort pool. I was going to keep it, but it does have holes in it. I don't know when I would ever use it again, and what the heck, if I move someplace where I could actually have a bigger pool, I do believe I'd probably buy a bigger pool. So, while this one was awesome for the time I had it up, time for it to say goodbye. This was really hard. It was like saying goodbye to good times, or at least the Band-Aid to really bad times. And so I changed the patio back to what it was before the pandemic hit, and removed all the festive lights. But that was okay. At least I'd gotten one more night on the resort. Oh, well, obviously, changing the coronavirus resort back into the patio was somewhat traumatic, I have to admit. I mean, I didn't know whether I actually wanted to keep the whole thing up for the entire summer or not, but I knew I wanted to keep it up and running longer than I did. So, having management come to the door and tell me that I had to take it all apart, that was kind of a bummer. I did expect it though, because one of my neighbors who had seen what I had put on my patio back here went down to Walmart or someplace and bought this huge inflatable pool that he put in the middle of the lawn. And, you know, both me and one of my neighbors, we took one look at that and thought, oh, I'm never going to allow this. This is never going to fly. And I thought, as soon as I say something to them, that guy's going to rat me out. And that's exactly what happened. So, you know, I had to take it down. But it wasn't easy. I mean, I always liked that patio, but it just kind of made it special. And I realized, of course, that it took one heck of a lot of imagination to pull that off, to be able to sit back there and just tell myself that, well, yeah, this rusty old table and with a little cheapy umbrella on it is actually the resort, right? And I'm gonna get in this water of this kiddie pool with a big chocolate donut and float around in it. But I have to admit, during the lockdown, during that month and a half that we were on stay-at-home order, that resort pool and that area back there actually did keep me sane. I did have a question from somebody that said, well, when you were just sitting back there, was there a lot of drinking? That's a good question. In fact, let's take a look at the magic box here and see what we come up with. Now, I wouldn't say that there was a lot of drinking going on at the resort, depending, of course, on your definition of a lot. Aye, seems Captain Skellington here wants to share the grog. Well, I has a plan to deal with that. Tell you what, we'll do another shot with you. If you take a swim first. I don't want to take no bloody swim first. What do you look at me, I'm just gonna sink. Yeah, but you're a pirate, you can take it. And while he's at sea, the grog's all for me. Salute. That was kind of fun. I can't believe I actually talked you into doing that. Well, now, we've been out here most of the day, out here on the resort, having a good time and in the water and whatnot, but now it's time. It's time to barbecue. Actually, what we need is another shot. One more shot for sure. Bleeding lucky I don't burn the place down. Yeah, good time in the resort. Well, I guess that is kind of all a relative term, isn't it? Oh my goodness, that was a good time. Like I said, it was a great time during those days when we were on lockdown. But of course now, everything's opened back up and things are trying to come back to normal, although they're not doing a particularly good job at coming back to normal. As you all know, the pandemic, while it's not bad enough to keep us on lockdown, is still very much alive. But before it could do a lot more damage, of course, there was the situation with a psychotic cop murdering a poor citizen, which has erupted into the kind of violence that we saw in 1992. Now, on top of all this, I mean, the destruction has even come to the Millennium Mall down the street from me. Although when the police made arrests, they clearly said that these people were just taking advantage of the situation and really weren't involved in the protests. The one thing that is interesting to note that has me in a quandary is they were very, very serious all the time about wearing the stupid mask and social distancing. But you might notice with these protests, we've got thousands, hundreds of thousands of people all over the country flocked together, none of them wearing masks. So I guess what? The pandemic just kind of went away? Either that or we're going to have a big influx of more coronavirus cases. And in fact, you have to ask yourself, if we don't have an influx of coronavirus cases based on this, then how serious was it to start with? But on top of all that, yesterday was the beginning of hurricane season. And there's actually a what's becoming a named storm in the Gulf of Mexico right now. So, hey, everybody expected 2020 to be an exciting year. I just don't think they expected it to be Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Well, thanks to everybody for watching my adventures on the coronavirus resort during this very, very unusual pandemic. But now it's time to fold up the tent and say, aloha.